Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of River Bear. While we're waiting for some issues to be worked out with the landing gear, which I'll have a whole video on later on, both the good, the bad, and the ugly of what's happening there, I thought I'd work a little bit more on the floor. Now I did talk a little bit before in another video about installing the front floor section, but now I started to work my way backwards in the aircraft or aft. And so I installed the cargo bay floor the same way that I installed the front flooring that's near the rudder pedals. Now, as I'm working my way back though, I'm experimenting with some different techniques and some different tools that might work out better. So I've never met a tool that I didn't really like. It's kind of like technology for me. I love toys and technology. So I made the mistake of going to one of the local big box stores with my wife, and while I was there, I saw some tools that I thought might work better. Now, when I first did the front floor, I used these tools here, which were metal clamp, vice clamps. These are Milwaukee. These two here are. And I also described in my previous video, Amazon Basics, and these work pretty well, clamping and holding the floor while I drilled them out. One of the things I noticed right away about these, though, is you have to use some sort of cloth protection on them, and that doesn't always provide the best grip. And also, they weren't quite as flexible as I wanted them to be, and they're heavy. And so you got to get the clamp on here and not only hold the weight of the clamp, but also hold it on to the place where you're clamping down. So these are good and they're adequate, and I see a lot of people online utilizing these for clamping different parts of the aircraft, and I'll probably continue to use these where appropriate. But one of the things I found at the box store were these. Now these are C-clamps as well. These are made by a company called Pony, bright orange in construction. And basically these are a version of speed clamps. So when you click in, they ratchet in, they hold in position. You get all the way down, and then it has a nice metal release handle here that releases them up. They have these flexible and padded grip feet here. And with the C-clamp design, they get around different parts of the fuselage very well. So I can reach across a structure and get to where I want to go very easily. And they came in a variety of sizes. So I decided to try two of each size. So I have this size as well, which is a little bit larger. As you can see, they can really get around a structure. And what I found is that these actually work much better than the metal clamps that I was using, the vice grip style, than I thought they would. And they hold very well. And actually, you can get a lot of pressure on these. And with the little flat feet, I found it holds it in place very, very well. So on this new floor build, I highly recommend these style over the other metal grip kind that other people would. The other thing I saw a lot online were people using these, which are kind of speed clamps. And they're kind of a cross between these ratcheting ones and really, giant clothespins. They have a lot of tension on them and they hold very well. But what I found is on the floor, these just don't hold adequately for drilling operations. So these just cause too much slip. So what I've been utilizing these for is just to kind of hold things, put pressure on things while I'm drilling. But really I'm utilizing these for most locations. The other thing while I was at the Home Depot is I saw that they had a new drill. And again, liking toys and technology, this is a Milwaukee, and it really is designed to go into a short, compact location. It's advertised at Home Depot as being new, and it's also advertised as being short and capable of doing small spaces. So I decided I would try it. It came with a lot of different accessories with it. It came with two of these smaller batteries, which are these smaller ones, the M12 size for Milwaukee. And then as part of a bonus pack, it came with one of these larger capacity batteries, which is what I've been utilizing in here. Along with it, it came with an offset screwdriver head using a hex head, so you can do an offset drill. It came with a right angle drill attachment for doing right angle drilling, and this is positionable, so you can set it to where you want the right angle to be. It doesn't have, not in a single fixed position. As you can see, it has a locking spline gear similar to what I saw on the Blackhawks in the Navy, a kind of a spline setup where this locking spline fits into another locking spline that I'll show you in a minute. But it has a right angle drill attachment. It had a hex head attachment, which for speed bits is very nice. And then it had a conventional, which is on here now, screwdriver bit attachment, which is, the standard 3 locking draw adjustable. Nice thing about it is that this piece comes off very quickly, as you can see. So you can change the heads very, very fast. So if I wanted to put the offset in, all I have to do is line this up with the major tooth gear, get the spline in position, and now I have an offset drill. Now, they also advertise it as compact. I'll tell you that this part, the upper part, is smaller than your standard Milwaukee drill, which I normally use. I will tell you though that in terms of length from here, and let me get this piece here again. If we put this on here for a standard drill bit, which I use a lot on the aircraft, the length between here and here, these two critical dimensions from the end to the end, is really not that much smaller than my standard Milwaukee drill. And my Milwaukee drill with the larger battery on it goes a long time. It is lighter, even with the larger capacity battery. It does have this pistol grip style, or this hand grip style protector, so you're not going to smash your hand up against anything. It does have this nice clip, which my Milwaukee drill also has, that some of the cheaper drills don't have. And a battery indicator, an LED, and then this front section is actually designed for holding metal tools. So you can actually carry some of your tools with you like that, or you're just able to take the bit or whatever and carry a couple of bits with you. So that, in terms of convenience, it's very nice. But in terms of size, of getting into some tight spaces, it's not as nice. Also, my Milwaukee, the other Milwaukee has a very easy to use side button, the large drill to drive in or drive out. This you have to change on top of here. I don't know if you can see this, but on top of there is the forward and back and locking position. It is 2-speed brushless, so good quality there. I generally buy the Milwaukee infrastructure, and again, nobody is sponsoring me, so I'm not saying that because Milwaukee is giving me some money, but I have a lot of Milwaukee product tools. I utilize their battery packs a lot. We use them a lot here on River Oaks, so this is kind of our standard tool set. But in terms of compactness and the critical dimension this way, I'm really not getting much advantage. In fact, I'm not getting any. The other thing is I was a little bit disappointed with is that the right angle head that they give you, it has a hex head on it, and you can actually attach other tools through it, I suppose, because there's a spline to it, but it doesn't really tell you how that works. So maybe there's other tools available. So this can't go onto here, and you can't put a standard drill bit head on it. So one of the problems that I have at the moment is that how do I use a regular drill bit in a right angle drill like this with a hex head? So maybe there's other accessories that I need to get to kind of utilize this better, because here, here's the offset, so you can go offset into a hex head very easily. But this particular piece here, it's not really clear to me if this will drive this way. So let's go ahead and we put this in here like this. And then we'll lock that piece into the right angle there. Now we go to lock that in there, and we're getting a lot of slip, right? This is not really gonna drill this way with a standard drill bit. So what you're kind of forced into, at least with a standard toolkit, is utilizing an offset head like this and driving the hex head or using the hex head itself. Why is that a problem for me? Well, the reason is that aircraft drill bits and most metal drill bits do not have the hex head on the end of them. They have the rounded head with a little bit of a flat base to give it more grip, but they do not have the hex head or the speed head style of lock on there. So it really reduces the usefulness of this tool for some of the tight spaces, both in terms of length and size. But again, in terms of lightness, it's very nice, and it'll probably remain in my aircraft toolbox just because it is lighter and faster to utilize. And there are occasions where I want to have 2 drill bits attached simultaneously. So I'll use this as my secondary tool. Also, this is much more convenient for speed tips, such as screwdriver tips and those things, and even some standard sockets. I have a socket converter that I can use. So I will be utilizing this because I really don't want to use my impact driver on my aircraft. I don't want that hammering action going on. So overall, this tool, new addition, nice kit, nice price, under $200. You get a lot of pieces plus a battery, but probably not the most useful. The other thing I decided to do is, here's Milwaukee again. I had been using this Milwaukee 13-in-1 screwdriver a lot. And it's not a bad screwdriver in terms of having a lot of different tools. But what I found is that this was not as convenient, and the shaft on this is a lot thicker as a standard screwdriver. So what I did is I did pick up, and in this case, it's a Cobalt brand. I got it on sale. And by the way, for you military veterans such as myself, Lowe's, who sells the Cobalt brand, gives you a military discount, and there's no limitation on that military discount. Unlike Home Depot, which sells Milwaukee, there's a $500 per year discount. Lowe's puts no restrictions on that. So if you're going to be buying a lot of tools or a lot of pieces or guard equipment or whatever, Lowe's is going to continue to give that discount to you after the $500 limit that Home Depot does. So, but here's a Cobalt, and I was able to pick up a Cobalt set of screwdrivers, which has about every screwdriver I could possibly need for this aircraft, very cheaply. So under $25, I picked up the entire set. And so now I have screwdrivers to kind of go along with this multi-tool, because honestly, this is working much better in terms of getting in and getting the different screws on the floor in place. The other tool that I continue to use a lot is my center punch. Now this center punch is an Amazon purchase, a big online purchase, came with the rest of the kit. But it's doing a good job. It's an off-brand, and no problems with that. You can get these easily. I continue to use a lot of cutting oil, so I continue to wet my bits for the drilling. I don't have to do it as much on the aluminum, but I want to keep my bits well lubricated as I'm cutting into this metal, especially the steel of the airframe. So I continue to use a lot of that. Now, one of the fun things about this is you get this nice piece of metal. As you can see from Bearhawk, it comes all marked for you. So here we have, 4 pieces left and right, below front seats, tells you the caliber of the metal, .032, tells you mod B, which is this Bearhawk 4-place Bearhawk B. It's all nicely marked. So it's pre-cut. But one of the things I found out right away is that even though it's pre-cut, some places where the the welding joints are, this metal doesn't fit around nicely and smoothly. So you are going to have to trim this metal some more to make this fit properly. And to do that, you're going to need some different tools to do that. So we'll get into that in just a second. So obviously when we're working with the metal, we're going to need to do some sheet metal cutting. Now, when I took the EAA, Experimental Aircraft Association sheet metal class, which I recommend, again, nobody's sponsoring me for this, but when I took it live in-person class down in Norfolk, Virginia. I did it during the COVID period, but it was still a very good class. They recommended getting some aircraft style sheet metal sears, and they're color coded. So you have a green handle for a right hand cut. You have a yellow handle for a straight cut, like this. This one happens to be a Milwaukee, and then you have a red one for the left hand cut. So you get all 3 different cuts. And what I found right off the bat is that these are fairly imprecise tools for trying to nip around the different welds. So I don't own a set of nippers. Maybe I should get those. But what I did have is I had this nice Dremel tool that I picked up at an estate sale. And again, I picked this up for like $15, $20, very cheap, used. And you have the Dremel tool. And what I did is I bought some of these coarse 60 grit sanding barrel tools. So these fit right into this Dremel tool. There's a nice set of locking jaws on this. So you get this turned in the right position and it locks the head so you can tighten it down. So you lock this on, and then these coarse little cylinders come on and come off very easily, so you can go through these. I'm using these as consumable. Again, on the online stores, you can buy the drums and the bits very inexpensively. A little bit more money if you buy the actual Dremel brand, cheaper if you buy the off brands. For this, off brand is just fine because I'm going through these a lot. And what I was able to do is just use this core sanding, and on this lightweight 0.032 aluminum, I can just go and I can like sand out the cuts that were already made very easily and very precisely to make it fit around the welds of this tubular frame of the Bearhawk. So that's what I did, is I used the Dremel tool, I plugged it in, I ran it at high speed, and then I just kind of carved away the different cuts that I needed to make. The initial cuts, frankly, I scared myself a lot because I made some cuts and I was like, oh my gosh, those cutters went a lot farther than I thought, not as precise as I would have liked them to have been. So I do need to get some nippers to do some finer cutting on these, especially since these panels come pre-cut and pre-shaped from Bearhawk. I didn't want to order new ones, nor did I want to take a sheet of aluminum, which is like this piece of sheet aluminum back here. This is actually 0.032 aluminum as well. I didn't want to have to waste a sheet making my own panels, since I already paid for them. So that's what I did on these, is I just utilized the Dremel tool, and the Dremel tool worked very nicely for just kind of sanding out these areas, basically cutting into the thin aluminum that makes up the floor panel to get them around the weld and get a nice smooth fit of that. Because ultimately, when Bearhawk makes these, every weld is not the same. Even if you built this from a scratch kit, you'd find that every weld is not going to be exactly the same. You're going to have to do some tweaking in order to get everything into place. The other thing you're going to find is that Bearhawk sends this to you with a film on it, a protective film. These are very nice. And when you peel this off, the floor is very nice. In my case, it really doesn't make much of a difference because I'm planning on putting truck bed liner on these floors. But as opposed to maybe some aircraft sheet metal that you just buy for making or fabricating metal trays and things like that, it may not have the same shine as this does. So this is much nicer. That's the good news about it. The bad news about it is that it comes with this protective film. Now, this protective film keeps it from getting scratched or nicked or dented, and it also comes with these markings, as we showed you before, that tell you what the lot number is. It tells you that that it's all clad T3. Tells you the mix of the metal 2024 T3. So that's all good. So you know what the quality of this metal is. Problem is that when you're done and you're ready to put this in, you drilled the holes and you're ready to finalize it, you have to take this film off. Now, I looked online, and maybe people can recommend down in the comment section how to take this off better, but a lot of people were using heat guns, some people were using chemicals to do it. I was really against the heat gun idea because I thought it would just make a bigger mess on a small piece like this. Maybe I'm wrong. The chemical part about it is I just didn't want to handle a lot more chemicals. So what I did is I actually hand peeled this off. So it took a while. I had to start from the corner and roll it off. But fortunately, there's not a ton of flooring on this, but it is something that took some patience to get it off of there. It's on both sides, so you have to get it off of both sides. And then once it's off, the writing that's on it is actually on the film on this side. So once it comes off, this side is all nice and clean. Unfortunately, as I said before, on the back side here, this writing is not coming off with the film. It's actually soaked through onto the metal itself. So you have to take this off, take that off. Now, originally I was using cloth rags that I bought at the store to do it. And two things. First thing, the cloth rags are a little bit too smooth, so I wasn't getting kind of an abrasive action with it that I needed to kind of get it off of there. And the other thing is that I was going through a lot of cloth rags because once you get them saturated with this red dye that's on here, it's pretty much throwaway. So what did we do? Well, we went to, in my case, I used Brawny Select-A-Size. We went to Brawny paper towels, and they have just enough abrasion to get that ink off of there very well. And when you mix that with alcohol that I bought at the paint store for paint removal, what I found is this with a pair of rubber gloves, and rubber gloves and the paper towels, you end up with a very, very good removal tool there. So that's how we did that. We continue to utilize the Cleco pliers and these Cleco clamps. These are multi-use. So before you start your aircraft, make sure you have a set of these. I'm using these over and over again to hold the floor in place after I drill it to make sure that I get all the holes drilled smoothly and flatly. And the one thing that I didn't mention before that I'm going to mention this time, and I actually had bent over because they fell down when I was talking, is safety glasses. So even with the alcohol, I'm wearing safety glasses. when I'm drilling these holes, I'm using, there's lots of little fine pieces of metal that are coming off of both the airframe as well as the aluminum. And very easy to get little pieces of metal in your hand, so gloves aren't a bad idea either. But safety glasses, you can't take a piece of metal out of your eye very easily. You have to go to an optometrist to do that. So what I've been utilizing is, in this case, these are DeWalt safety glasses. Now, why am I using DeWalt? Well, I haven't talked about my age, but I am getting older. And even though I wear what they call a monocular, one contact that allows me reading vision, I still find for some of the finer work that I want to do that I want both eyes to have that magnification. And the other thing I find is that even with this magnification in here, the double magnification of my one contact lens, plus this is really nice. And DeWalt, I don't know if you can see these, but these are bifocal. And so with the bifocal lenses, even with my contact out, I can do a lot of work around here without needing reading glasses, and I can magnify those things very well. It's just one of those problems with age. As you get older, you need reading glasses. So it's just what it is. So I like the DeWalt because, again, I can slip them on, and now I have down low, I can see things. I actually do a lot of shooting sports, and I also find these very nice for shooting sports. And I like the quality of the DeWalt lens. So again, DeWalt's not paying me, but in this case, very happy with these, and I utilize these all the time. So we're going to continue going through this and putting it on the floor. I'm continuing to use the black stainless steel M8 nuts and the blind nut holders that are on here. I do need to put this piece in now that after this talk, I kind of held it up for you to go and finish out underneath the floorboards. When that's done, I will start working on the one piece that I actually spent a lot of time thinking about, and that's going to be a segment unto itself, is really how to install the fuel select valve that I purchased from Bearhawk. It's an accessory. It doesn't come with the normal kit. And the gasolator, which is also an accessory, doesn't come with a kit. How to mount that into the aircraft. The reason it took a lot of consideration is let me reach over here out of screen here real quick. As you can see that this piece of metal here, which is where the fuel selector mounts, it doesn't match up with the holes of the floor panel that I received from Bearhawk. So now I'm kind of going through the processes of what do I want to do there, what will look nice, and how do I want to finish it off. Again, the advantage I have that maybe some other builders aren't is this idea of using truck bed liner across the floor, which can hide a lot of things. But I still would like the floor panel to make sense. And as it is right now and where this is positioned, I have to change the cutout on the floor panel so that I can have this exposed and then make a piece that will go over and around this to lock all this together. So I'll be working on that. That's a bigger job. This is fairly straightforward. And even though it takes a little bit of time, it doesn't take much brain power to do. So I can do it as I'm doing other things here at River Oaks.